How to go from hello all the way up to first date. I'm gonna be breaking down the 4 most common mistakes I see men making. Now, if you do any one of these 4 mistakes, the interaction is pretty much done at that point. So be sure to watch this in full because I'm gonna show you guys how to actually get a solid phone number. But then more importantly, what's the easy text structure we could run from the moment we get the number all the way up to actually getting her out on the date. Because I know you've gotten a number before where the girl just left you on red or ended up flaking on the date. So let's jump right into this. The very first thing to understand, guys, is that this line that goes throughout the entire interaction is your vibe. Even if you hit every other thing that I'm going to show you in this chart, if you can't actually have a baseline level of communication that's fun, charismatic, enthusiastic, if you can't run a normal conversation, then none of these other things matter. And what that means is you need to be able to communicate while holding good eye contact, with a smile, with a little bit of charisma, and have a baseline level of communication that has some level of emotion in it. You guys need to get really good at being able to have flavorful small talk. The get to know you small talk should still have good emotions, good conversation. Now let's get into the most common mistake I see men making in the very first minute of the conversation, which is they're asking way too many questions. They don't know how to actually carry the conversation. Understand, guys, you're going up to the girl. So from the girl's perspective, you're a stranger. She has no idea who you are, and you just go up, start bombarding her with questions. She's not ready to carry the conversation, and you're putting a lot of pressure on her. So instead, what I recommend doing is making observations and using personal input to actually carry that first bit of conversation. So you get into the interaction, you display some level of intent, and then instead of asking question after question after question, you're gonna wanna make some sort of observation. You're gonna wanna give some personal input into the topic at hand. It's on you to carry that first minute of the conversation in a way that doesn't display you're nervous, you're scared, you're running out of things to say. You gotta be able to stay cool, calm, chill, and carry that first bit of conversation. That's what's actually gonna put the girl at ease and get the conversation off the ground. Now from there, if you properly stop the girl, you had a good vibe, you displayed some level of intent, we got to the point, we're not putting too much pressure on her, we're not asking too many questions, you should get to about the first minute or so of the interaction, and at which point we will then move into the second phase, that 1, 2 to 3 minute mark, where I see the second most common mistake being made by men. And me personally, when I was going through this journey, I remember being really uncomfortable in the interaction at this point. I got comfortable at one point opening and injecting intent. I would say a couple things, and then at some point I couldn't sit still and just stay calm in the fire of the interaction and just be chill. All right, and if you're at that point, you gotta practice getting comfortable in these first couple of minutes. And so what you don't wanna do is eject at this phase in the interaction, because either you're prematurely just running away because you're nervous, in which case you need to stay in there and get comfortable carrying the conversation at that point in the interaction, or you're gonna prematurely go for a phone number, which you might actually get the number at the 2 minute or 3 minute mark. But I promise you, like 90+% of the time, that's not gonna actually go to a date. Okay, the girl's either gonna not respond at all, or she'll text back a little bit, but then when it actually comes to running the date, she won't actually show up. And that's because you missed this whole part of the presentation. So do not end up ejecting at this phase in the interaction. The second biggest mistake men make is they leave, they eject. They try to go for the close. They either panic and run out of the interaction prematurely, or they think that they did good, so they got the phone number at the 2 minute mark, 3 minute mark, because they're watching this TikTok Riz all the time, where the guy just opens with intent and goes for the close, and that's not the right play. Trust me, if you understand anything about sales or influence, it takes time to warm up a lead or a prospect before they're ready to actually make a purchase. And this is sales. Understand that, guys. All right, so do not leave. Instead, what do? Well, you need to carry the conversation. We want to inject some level of teasing. I would actually recommend by the 1 minute mark, you should actually inject some level of teasing. I'll actually put that in here. At some point, you need to tease or break rapport. Too many nice guys coming in and they just ask questions and compliment and intent. You gotta break rapport. You gotta push the girl away at some point. If you watch a lot of my infields very early on in these interactions, I'm low-key in a playful way making fun of the girl. I make fun of the way she gives her handshake. She says something and I playfully disagree.
Bonjour, I'm not French.
Or I say we're not gonna get along.
Oh, so you say maybe I get bored and then I don't listen to it.
Or I find a way to challenge her.
Why are you getting loud? Don't get loud with me.
Don't
Yeah, you're raising your voice.
So the earlier you can find a way to tease, the better. I would recommend squeezing it in somewhere in the first couple minutes, maybe even multiple times if the opportunity presents itself. But the more you could break rapport with the girl, the less you'll be in that ha-ha nice guy kind of a thing. So if you're the dude who's giving off very like nice guy kind of vibes, I would recommend breaking rapport in the first minute, and then there should be multiple instances throughout the interaction of you actually breaking rapport with the woman. And for those of you guys that are wondering, well, how do I not eject at the 3-minute mark? What if she's walking away or I don't know what to say? Well, first off, if you actually run the first 3 minutes properly and you're grounded and the girl's not in an extreme hurry, you could keep the girl planted in that same position. I've ran interactions where we don't move for 10 minutes. I'll throw a couple clips up on the screen. You could see this is the same location that I stopped the girl, and we stand in that position for 5+ minutes just carrying a conversation. And so you want to get good at being able to run a 3-minute interaction where you can approach, you can display intent, you got a good vibe, and you find a way to break rapport, tease the girl once or twice in interaction. That's solid. If you could do that, we're going to be in a great position. Before we get into this next point, I just wanted to say, if you want to fast track this process, guys, click the link down below. Check out my brand new coaching program. Have an amazing opportunity going on. You could work with me directly right now. Click the button down below. More details on that at the end of the video. Let's get into this next point though. Now from there, at some point, you're going to want to figure out, what is the girl up to right now, right? What are you up to? What are you doing? WYD. What are you up to right now, by the way? And that's important because if the girl's in a hurry, if the girl's headed to work, if the girl's about to get in an Uber, if the girl's walking home, if the girl's not doing anything and she's just chilling, that will ultimately dictate how much time do we actually have with this girl. And that's why the next area is somewhere between 5 to 10+ minutes. It's because on the low end of the spectrum, even if the girl's in a hurry and she's got to go somewhere, I would still recommend you extend the interaction at least for another minute or two, and you walk with her while you continue the conversation. The shorter the interaction is, the less likely she's bought into you, the less she knows about you, the less comfortable she's going to feel giving a stranger her phone number to actually clear out time to go on a date with her. The more time you could spend with her while you're running the interaction properly, the more she will know, like, and trust you. And yes, I keep going back to these sales analogies because this literally is sales, guys. Sales is very similar to pickup and meeting women. And when it comes to sales, spending time with the prospect, getting them to invest time into you so they can know, like, and trust you is very important to converting a sale. I'm not pitching you 1 minute into my video, hey, welcome to the video. Do you want to buy my product? You're not ready to purchase. I need to spend time with you. So on the low end of this, minimum, you should walk with her for at least 1 to 2 minutes, but she might be free right now. You might be able to just walk with her for a little bit and then stop the girl again and carry the conversation. I'll show you guys a couple interactions of mine where I stop the girl, we talk for 3 to 5 minutes, and then I walk with her a block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, and then at some point we just stop again, and then we have a longer interaction at that next location. So you can run 3 to 5 minutes, then she sees you're cool, she's intrigued, you're intrigued, we walk a little bit, and then we stop again, and then I spend another 5 to 10 minutes with the girl. And that's what's gonna get you somewhere between a 7 to 15-minute interaction. In my opinion, that's the sweet spot. If you really wanna consistently get numbers from daytime that can really lead to solid dates, then this is the structure you run. The interactions I'm showing you on the screen right now, these conversations went 8 to 10 to 15 minutes long, and they all resulted in dates later on in that week. Which brings me to the third mistake that men make, right? They don't actually lead the interaction. Most of you dudes, you get into a conversation, even if the girl's into you, you're probably only gonna run it a couple minutes, or if it even goes beyond the 3-minute mark, you don't actually lead. You don't realize you could go on an Insta date with her right now. You don't realize that even if she's leaving, you could walk with her for a little bit. Not in a creepy stalker way. I'm talking about you suggestively say, oh, you were going that way? Cool. I'll walk with you just for a couple blocks, and then I gotta get going. I'll show you a clip right now.
All right, I'll walk with you for like 2 blocks then, and then I'll go back to my shopping.
Even though I said I'm gonna get going, the interaction ended up going twice as long. I stopped with her again, and then we ended up staying in that next location for another like 5+ minutes, and that's how I got a really solid number. I'm not making this up. I'm literally showing you the evidence while I'm breaking this down with you. So anybody that's telling you otherwise, it's bullshit, man. I'm actually going through this process and showing it to you. So dudes, they don't lead the interaction anywhere, and also in this period, they forget to keep it flirty. Guys, at some point in this interaction of 3 to 10 to 15 minutes, you gotta flirt again, man. You don't just go into boring interview mode. I know a lot of dudes that will go in, they open, they display intent, and then it just goes into flatline interview small talk. And the girl was initially into you, but then you lost her at the 5, 10, 15 minute mark because your conversation skills just got flatline, boring as fuck. So instead, you need to add in a second layer of intent. You need to flirt, you need to tease. That doesn't stop. Those are things that you continuously inject into the interaction over time. Every couple of minutes, you got to add a little bit of seasoning to the dish. Too much of that seasoning, shit gets too salty and you ruin it, but not enough of it, it's really bland and boring as well. And most importantly, you got to set up the next meetup. You don't want to just run this whole interaction. You did all of these things, and then at the end, you just get a random number, and then you go home and you're like, well, what am I going to text her now? Where am I going to take this conversation going? I didn't even really ask her out. You don't just get a phone number because you ran a good interaction. You run a good interaction, and then you suggest that you guys do an activity together sometime. Okay, we should get a drink sometime.
Oh yeah, what are you doing Friday?
All right, that's called going for the close. It's like seeding the close. You bring up an activity that you guys could do in the future. Hey, we should go do blank sometime. Write that line down. We should go do blank sometime. You guys are talking about working out. Hey, we should get a lift in sometime. Hey, we should go get sushi sometime. Yeah, I usually go out on the weekends to blank spot. You should join in sometime. You're vibing with the girl for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Suggestively recommend that she joins you to do one of these activities sometime, and don't make it a big deal because honestly, it's not really a big deal. All right? If you did this whole structure properly, by the time you go to say goodbye, it should be very obvious that we're gonna exchange phone numbers. Why? Because I've displayed intent, I kept it flirty, I was teasing her a little bit, I walked with her, we got to know each other, and I actually brought up the idea of us doing an activity together. If you do those check boxes, it's not uncommon that the girl may even say, yeah, do you wanna take my number? Like I've had girls that actually throw their phone number at me because I've already gone through these check boxes. So the more you could set up the idea of the date while you're with her in person, instead of waiting till you go home to text her to set up the date, the better off you're gonna be. So I would recommend setting up a plan with her, like literally just tell her the plan. Figure out when she's free, tell her when you're gonna hit her up. It takes the guesswork out of it. I don't like going home and thinking about when am I gonna text her? How many days am I gonna wait? What message am I gonna send her? When I'm getting the number, I'm gonna ask her, oh, so when are you typically free? She's gonna say, oh, usually on the weekends or weekdays after this time. I say, cool. I'm usually working till like 5, 6 o'clock. Maybe we could do something on blank day or blank day. I'm usually working till like 5 or 6, so maybe we could do something around that time on Thursday or Friday. She'll then say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. We can make some work. Okay, let's do this then, because today's Tuesday. I'll hit you up tomorrow and we can lock something in for Thursday or Friday. Does that sound cool? Okay, awesome. I just laid out the whole plan to her and she agreed to the whole thing. It makes it very easy at this point to then do the follow-up sequence, which I'm about to get into, because this is where dudes go wrong too, is the texting. You ever get a number and the girl doesn't text you back at all? That's because you didn't do all of this shit. You probably ran a shit interaction. It's not your text game. It's the way you ran the interaction on the front end. Or you did get a number, but you didn't really set up a game plan when it came to the texting sequence, and now you're playing this random text game of just hitting her up saying, good morning, how's your day going? What are you doing for dinner? Did you have fun? Hey, have a good night. Like, it gets very boring, predictable, stale. And inevitably, at some point in that whole sequence, you're gonna send some dumb text that the girl's not in the mood to hear. And that's why a lot of these girls leave you on red. So let me show you guys an easy texting sequence that I like to do. If I got to this point, I set up the plan for the upcoming couple of days. I told her I was gonna hit her up tomorrow. I send the same text message all the time. Very easy, it takes the guesswork out of it. I always send this message. It's a picture of me on my balcony. All right, I open the conversation with a picture of me on my balcony and I just say, good morning from Brickell. Now look, you don't need to have this exact balcony pic, but I recommend you guys take pics when you're out in your day-to-day of you doing something cool. It could just be you having coffee at a cool spot. It could be you doing work from a unique remote location. It could be you on some type of hike adventure out with your dog, whatever it is. You just want some kind of a pic that you could send. And honestly, it doesn't even need to have your face in it, because now that your face isn't even in the picture, it's a timeless picture. You could use that picture over and over and over again. So I just send this same pic all the time. Good morning from Brickell, good afternoon from Brickell. It never misses, all right? And that's because it's got a cool view. It shows I'm relaxed, getting some sun, laying out, and I'm reading a book, drinking a coffee. All right, very great picture to send. I highly recommend you try to replicate something similar for yourself. Honestly, guys, it has like a 95% guaranteed response rate, assuming I ran the interaction well. Now from there, the girl's gonna acknowledge what you said. She's gonna say something like, oh, oh, that looks so great, blah, blah, blah. If she's really into you, she may even ask additional questions. You may say something like, how's your day going? I just finished up, blah, blah, blah. Some girls will just like the picture and say, that looks amazing. Oh my God. Now, me personally, I'm pretty busy and I also don't like to text that much. So I'm going to show you guys my texting structure, which is pretty much no texting. And you guys could try to replicate something along these lines. But I'll send that pic, girl responds. My next voice message that I send is something like, yeah, it was such a nice day outside. Was just on the balcony drinking some coffee. I'm about to go hit the gym, hit the sauna, and then cook up some dinner this evening. Hope your day's going well. What are you up to today? Okay, that's the message. It's me talking about my day, talking about my work, asking what the girl's got going on for her day. And I've sent this message out enough so I know that the girl's gonna acknowledge what I said. She may talk about her day. She may even respond with a voice note herself, which would, any of these is very positive. But once she does respond, I'm then just going to acknowledge whatever she said. And then I'm going to transition into the already agreed upon plans that we set up during the initial interaction. It's literally 2 messages. I send the pic with a good morning, girl responds. I then talk about my day, ask her what she's got going on. I then respond to her and I bring up the already agreed upon plans. Very simple texting structure. And if you did everything right, the girl should just agree to the plans because we already discussed it in person. So you then just confirm it and you say, sounds good. I got to get back to my work, or I'm about to hit the sauna, or I'm about to shower and wind down for the night. I hope you have a good night. We'll talk soon. So that's all the texting you need to do the day after you ran the interaction. And what I would recommend doing, there's one more main thing, which is you want to hit her up the day before. All right, do not wait till the day of the date to text her again. I know a lot of dudes who they lock in a date with the girl and then they let 3, 4, 5, 7 days go by and then they text the girl again saying, hey, really excited for tonight. Dude, so much time has gone by, the girl completely forgot about you. Yes, the girl forgot about you. So if it's more than 1 day out, meaning if I talked to her on Tuesday, then I texted her that message on Wednesday and a date set up for Friday, I would still recommend hitting her up on Thursday. Or if the date was set up for Saturday, I would still reach out on Friday. Or if the date was set up for Sunday, I would still reach out on Saturday. If the date's further out than that, it's really not even that official yet. So I try to book out 3 to 4 days max in advance, which again is typically what sales funnels are as well, guys. If you try to book in a call, a consultation call with a sales funnel, they're not going to let you book out that call more than 2, 3, 4 days in advance. You know why? The show up rate goes down dramatically. All right, trust me, I've been in high ticket sales for 5 years. I understand sales philosophy, I understand sales tactics, but I also understand how females work. It's very similar. If you try to book out more than 3, 4 days in advance, you're gonna get a flaky number. The show rate does go down. So keep in mind, you will need to reach out multiple times if it's further out in advance. But I would just simply touch base the day before, keep it light, keep it short. You could reopen with some callback humor from the initial conversation. You have a couple messages back and forth, and then at some point you transition into saying something like, I'll tell you more about it tomorrow over sushi, right? Or whatever the plan was before. Hit her up on the day of the date, earlier on in the day, okay? Don't text her at 6 p.m. if the date's at 7 p.m. Text her at 12 noon, text her at 1 o'clock, and just send her some kind of message that has some details about the meetup or the location or the time that you're getting off work. Something like, hey, I should be done by like 5 o'clock today, so it looks like I'll be on time. This is how you could run a simple 5, 10, 15-minute interaction from hello all the way up to going on the date. Now, once you're actually on the date, if you're wondering, what do I do to actually run a flawless first date? You're gonna wanna check out this video right here, or if you're interested in fast tracking this process, I get that there's a lot going on in this video. It might not be easy for you to just watch this and go out and implement this consistently. I've seen dudes make a shitload of different mistakes over the years. So if you wanna work with me directly to fast track this process so you could get more social confidence and dating abundance, click the button down below. Check out my brand new coaching program. That's all for this video, guys. Peace out.